They brutally attacked a New York City police officer and a lieutenant. Our criminal justice system is upside down. It fails every day.
Get them all and send them back. You don't touch our police officers. You don't touch anybody.
Democratic policies at City Hall have made this much more difficult for our law enforcement than it needs to be.
Mayor Eric Adams declares that the migrant crisis will destroy NYC. If you have seen this, appreciate it. The video is doing very, very, very well. If you guys don't know, I'm in Brooklyn, New York. So this does affect me, the New York City stuff in terms of the migrants coming in and all the outrageous. You can tell we do not have the ability to take care of the people that's coming. We don't have the resources. We don't have the resources to take care of the people who are currently in New York City. So I want to show you guys a story that happened. You may have already seen it, but it was too crazy to ignore. I want to talk about this story that's obviously is near and dear to me in terms of dealing with just New York City, right? So this story, remove this real quick. So to set this up, basically a gang, most of them, I think all of them are migrants, basically jumped two police officers in Times Square. So let me just show you the story. Let me show you the video real fast.
Tonight with a disturbing crime caught on camera showing a group of people punching and kicking two NYPD officers in Times Square over the weekend. So far, 5 arrests have been made, but 4 of those suspects have already been released on bail. Well, Ashley Rodriguez is live in Times Square with how police are responding to this disturbing incident and what we're learning about those responsible. Ashley, that video just appalling.
Absolutely, and police say it was up to 12 men that attacked 2 officers. Now, law enforcement officials say that these men were migrants. These are supposed asylum seekers. And police say if they were brazen enough to attack 2 uniformed officers, there's no telling what they'd be willing to do to the average citizen, and the city allowed them to go free.
You saw the video. Reprehensible. Cowards.
The NYPD reacting to surveillance video taken from West 42nd Street in Times Square around 8:30 Saturday night. Police say a group of up to 12 men was being disorderly. 2 officers told them to move along. The gang looks like they're going to comply, but when the officers try to take one uncooperative man in a yellow shirt into custody, around 7 others surround them, punching and kicking the officers in the head and in the body while they are on the ground.
First, for our cops, I'm proud of what they try to do. They stayed in the fight, but 8-on-2 is hard to combat. They got bumps, bruises, and scratches and pain.
Eventually, officers were able to find and arrest 4 of the gang. A 5th was arrested Monday. But once cops brought them in, bail reform laws allowed them to go free, something that most likely wouldn't have happened in their home countries, according to the NYPD.
Again, consequences for your actions. They should be sitting in Rikers. They should have been indicted this week and have their day in court and go to jail.
Police sources add that it's the gang of 19 to 24-year-olds who barely just arrived in the city and may have been staying at the nearby migrant shelters in Times Square. Some have reportedly already racked up charges for assault and robbery, but were released then too. If those arrested for this assault on police do come back on their own recognizance, they face felony charges that carry a penalty of up to 7 years.
You want to know why our cops are getting assaulted? There's no consequences, and we must change this. End of story.
Absolutely crazy. It's kind of breathtaking when, it's hard to even put in words what is going on right now. Just outrageous. Like, we don't have the resources. I mean, Eric Adams is looking to do major cuts with everything from cops. There's a bunch of things that he's cutting away. Apparently trying to close down the libraries for Sundays. Like, we don't have enough money. And now we have people beating the shit out of cops. And they just get, since we have the bail reform in terms of we don't have bail for certain crimes, they got released after beating up 2 cops. Like, you don't have to be conservative. Conservatives are outrageous, obviously, but this can't be. You can't come in here. You're supposed to be seeking asylum for obviously either something kind of the lawlessness that's happening in your country, then come here and beat up cops. I mean, the balls to kick a cop in the head or kick anyone in the head that has a gun, like, they don't care. I mean, clearly. And cops aren't perfect, clearly. I think I was talking about this yesterday. I was watching a live stream and someone was defending stop and frisk. But if you guys don't know what stop and frisk is, this was something that this was a kind of a policy that happened, I don't know how long ago, at least a decade and a half ago, where cops were able to just stop anyone they wanted and like search them and go through their pockets and stuff like that. And I've had to deal with that younger and, back in my 20s, where I would walk home and be stopped by cops. And I didn't, look at me, I'm nerdy as hell. What the hell? I'm not doing anything wrong. It's unconstitutional. You can't just stop people. So that was kind of cut off. And I was explaining that time was terrible. The cops were obviously discriminating. They were going into certain places. They knew they can go and, search people, even though they had no evidence of a crime being occurred. So regardless of your feelings with cops, you can't have this happening. Like this is anarchy. This is chaos in one of the most valuable places in the world, right? At least in terms of money, in terms of resources, in terms of all the things that people come here for opportunities. And you got dudes just beating up on the cops. And then they were able to just walk out of the jail because we don't have bail here for certain crimes. But you think beating up a cop should be like, yeah, you should probably stay in jail for a bit. They're just able to get released.
Why are you beating cops up? What's wrong with you?
Crazy. 22 years old.
Why are you beating cops up?
Just outrageous. And everyone and the cops are angry because these people were able to go back on and do whatever they were doing and already racking up crimes. Like they should, I don't know. If you're able to come to a different country, like if I went to a different country, let's say I want to go to Japan one day. I go to Japan, I'll just start having crimes, breaking in things, beating up people, robbing them. I would be arrested, detained. They probably will ship me back to USA. Well, probably put me in jail for the crime. And then immediately when I finish my sentence, deport me out of that country. Like, is that common sense? Is that, is that hard, is that difficult to do, like to understand? I don't know. Burke says, why shouldn't they be deported? Like, I think it makes sense to me. Sherry, this is really sad. How the hell is this acceptable? Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but I know right now in New York City, there's another kind of, it depends on your perspective, but some people are really upset about it. In New York City, there's a big effort to help migrants find jobs. So Mayor Adams and other leaders are rallying for the federal government to give asylum seekers work permits. So I will say right now, and I live in Brooklyn, so driving every day, either picking my son from school or picking him up or running around doing dog walking and other stuff like that, you would see at the food banks long lines of people. And this happened before the migrant situation. This happened since the pandemic, because obviously a lot of stuff went down. A lot of people lost their jobs. So even the few years of just dealing with the pandemic and things being really tough for a lot of people, depending on the food bank, but Tuesdays or Wednesdays, whenever the food bank was available in that either at church, long line of people looking for food, long line looking for groceries. We don't have enough to help them, or we act like we don't. I don't know. Like we don't have enough resources to help them. But now Mayor Adams is like, we need to get work permits. But are these people going to get the work permits, the ones that beat up the cops? Like we have to have some level of sense. I don't know. I really don't know. We're also talking about if you're in New York City and you are a gig worker, let's say, for instance, you do DoorDash or you do Grubhub. It's one of those jobs you can kind of jump in and make a few dollars and get paid the same day. Well, a lot of those migrants will be looking for work too. So if you make your money, like majority of your income doing those apps, you're now competing with another 100, potentially 50 to 100,000 people that's coming in looking for work. And the easiest thing you can do is gig work in terms of those apps, right? I mean, I've seen people deliver food and really don't know what, like they show you the phone and they let you guide them to what's going on, either if they're in the right restaurant or the right apartment, right building. So this is going to be a bigger issue. I think that's why Mayor Eric Adams said that this could destroy New York. But the problem is he probably should have realized that this is going to happen when you have 500 people coming in every day. Now, most migrants are not doing that. Clearly, of course not. But the ones that do should just be removed and go back so we don't have to worry about that, right? ME says, Hannibal, Japanese law is if you trespass or disturb the peace as a foreigner, it's 3 years in jail. Yeah, I think there was a story with, I think it was either a streamer or one of those. It's one of those streamers that do pranks and bother people. They're the worst. I don't watch those videos, but I think there's a YouTuber or a streamer that he's actually going to jail because he went to Japan and caught and did some shit, and they're like, well, you're not leaving. You can't do that. That's a pretty good law, actually. Things make sense. Does Uber? Oh, it's about Uber. Yeah, so I don't know about rideshare, but definitely food delivery, where all you need is a bike, a scooter, and another thing too in New York City. I showed Pedro the photo. There's so many scooters and mopeds. They're not registered at all. Maybe I would say 2% are probably registered with the DMV. Everything else is guys on mopeds going 40, 50 miles an hour to deliver food or just to ride around, to go to places. The e-bikes, they're pretty fast too. And there's so many accidents, so many, a lot of craziness. I mean, illegal damaged batteries that's causing fires, burning up buildings. There's so much going on. I mean, we could talk about this all day, to be honest, but I know most of you guys kind of came for Tiffany Hayard, but if you go check out my video, appreciate it. Like I said, it's doing pretty well. I think the migrant situation is going to be, if you are in New York, obviously California, obviously Arizona, a lot of the border states, they've been doing it. They've been dealing with this for years. And now I think we are all going to eventually deal with it ourselves, right? So New York City is dealing with it. Colorado is dealing with it. So this is something that, we're going to have to figure out what exactly are we doing, because we're promised there. Obviously you come here because you're looking for opportunity. It's probably a really positive image of America and all the resources is there. But the problem is we can't even get our own people taken care of. The homelessness situation was a problem before the migrants came in. Now it's just a whole different situation. Now they're, Mayor Eric Adams is trying to find steady work for the migrants. I'll say this, it's probably not going to work. It's going to be a lot of problems, but dude, I don't know. Let's see. Scott, Hannibal, you rock, no doubt about that. But NYC sucks. Yeah, I can't even argue. New York City is great for food and entertainment. Unfortunately, if you're born here, your family's here, so you want to hang out here. And I have a dog dog walking business, so my clients are here. My chick works for the city. I won't tell you what. Maybe if I'm cool with it, I'll let you know. So it's hard to just leave, but don't worry, she has nothing to do with any of this. I'll say that. I'll say she works in transportation. Yeah, I mean, New York Post is conservative, but I would say even some of the liberal stuff, the liberal publications are kind of saying, all right, this is kind of crazy. Like, this is probably not a good idea. Migrants should not commit crimes and then able to stay in the city and continue to commit crimes. Like, there's some things I think we're all agreeing on. Like, maybe this need to be scaled back a bit. So, and Sherry says, do your research. It was a nightmare when President Jimmy Carter welcomed migrants. They send thousands of criminally insane people. Yeah, I mean, not every situation is geared to helping people. We got to figure out what is going on, because a lot of, not to say conspiracy theories, there's theories on exactly why this happened. Is it obviously political? It's a lot going on, but we can move on. Chicago definitely is a homelessness situation down there as well.